Right, say okay.
Zoto. Asemo.
Se be bo Amorin so abaso.
Oh, say nipa do ya di osayi. Sima ka cho say the moment Oye Milan coach there. Zoto. Oye Milan fan support na de be man. Because the mo ososidi a say Milan na ososidi. But say you scrutinizing it there. Obi aso ntimi nka so obi nyai. Tie no there.
On come. Oh
yes, and a very good 75 minutes. On say the intensity of the game, no, the high intensity of his game, no. Any season na chassis, no. Say season, no. Almost pre-season munaba. Players na a lot of physical works. Until to get them to running, pressing for like 85 to 90 minutes, no, are difficult. I bet take time kaka. Until the first 75 minutes of the game, it was Amorin in the team AC Milan to almost show a lot of promising signs. Meaning say what the match say everywhere there, mama enya there some of the positives of his game. But yeah, kai say to Makase judge Amorin use the Manchester United job to judge him. Sporting there, yes, he did well at Sporting. But on say managing Sporting Lisbon, now managing Manchester United and sunsunye wumpa. And sunsunye wum. Managing Manchester United, managing AC Milan and sunsunye nim. Inti time a okwa club about with a lot of pressure. Demand was so. Oma folly recently. They want to be at their level. Manchester and a team of say AC Milan. Na enra game Milan ni Torino boy no. There were signs that say oma continuity. Unlike the next of Manchester United no. The Manchester Bluto one fine game, the next two games, then the team they call off. Syria is differently when it comes to how our teams are set up. Mostly teams away Italian Syria no set up defensively. Omo prefer so mo bet naturally. O attack o ma. No more use quick transition on counter. No more dey punish you. And one Ignacio Abate nenra with the Torino team. Now, this is how Milan approached the game. Amorin decided say, allow mo to build from the back. Eti service some of the video never to so where incidents CBSC will game ni ma before see betimi ne etiefo ache and am to a person no pay ne eye etiefo eche. Torino next starts on build up from the back. Zuto, look at the pressing from Milan players. Eti yesa ko ye chibiema. Let's watch Torino. Zuto, this is their pressing. Torino started build up no. Baby a Milan ekwaje bo Milan na she white jersey, Torino na she red no. The second player to receive the ball, Adon Jashari, who is the holding midfielder for the Milan team. When no game no boy no. It means to regaba ojaye. Because omobo on the high line. It's a team that starting to build up from the back. Now one team am pressing and jebo na. Possibility so be break high line no. Now when you 1-on-1 against the goalkeeper was through. It's quick defending from the opponent half. The Biana Mekase team STAPA defensive duties and rely on defenders in Kwan. Shebabia Jashari Koya MCC who was or put up an impressive performance Enra Zoto say the decision making a good Kabo a go. And this was one area Milan a handle go no. Then is it the second goal? Time Musta 10 in the middle. The speed. Yes, Mr. Tuanuni. She the speed of the ball na echo. O de miya meka si miya chere ko visa kito. Eno de ma Rabiot. Then Rabiot boy Mr. Tu Cisse pa no ball ne to net. From Musa to Rabiot to Cisse. Time a ball ne to net no. Apart from Cisse, none of the Milan players any touch a ball no more than 3 times. This is quick transition. Beating Torino press. A medium press now Torino koye no. It is a say ya na kebeko dia kamizo tu nkeye. Say ya na kebeko dia ankeye. I know you will meet difficult teams in the league when it comes to defensive organization. Omoye better than Torino. But a first game of the season. na if science ni ni a zoto I think going to take the credit away from Ruben Amorim. How quicker even the Milan players at how he wants to play Arsenal. The two I think it's good. And then her lineup now, apart from Mario Hiller, Goncalo Ramos, and the Cisse. About 3 players. 8 players were all players of the club. Make up Babe Cisse, you two. We will be at baby. I won't need send the coaches Boboa. We see game na Babe your coaches Juma. And I dare back when they say clubs are showing it, coaches are showing it. Time Pep Guardiola called Barcelona. He knew the lies of Deco, Eto. So how do you convince these players? Say the first phase of defending Omonenye. Now when I do no what I do they can defend. Ono mama can co defend and I'm for born embreno. Deco the same thing. Samuel Etofis create the chance for him Obeshe. But a group point will realize him say, I will need players that will press. All fade out Ronaldo more ne to more any Deco mono. So 20 players don't buy. Only players don't buy. Okay, Pedro.
Yeah.
Ti Busa say
Pedro question and say whatever ball and have it.
No relax you. Say obo last no excess relax you. Obo last season we name so omuja na kwan. Pedro, o de Pedro e be replace Ronaldinho woni Deco mo. One we be kwa jam be say because we abodam. Yeah. But Pep Guardiola did it. Eventually, all come back to almost success period. The era of Pep Guardiola. And Yako and him now, coaches, say, and the football, so too. Oh, trust you, now the more materials or more pet the Mawama. Possible say they can give you results. And Macassa, even in the history of AC Milan, opportunity Amorim and coach Biano and Yabisau. Okay. Coach Biano from the Berlusconi era. Ebam Zoto, EBC. Last season of Redbird, Jerry Cardinale. Say yes, coach. She say we play away, play away. Oni akofani edna bro. No, ensi we AC Milan. But onya saade no.
So was it a good test? Torino.
Obetimi aka say because the last 2 seasons Milan first game in the Italian Serie A no man timi win
against Torino.
No against Torino. First game of the Italian Serie A. And last season Milan winning Turin against Torino. But one grounds are a very difficult grounds for AC Milan. Very, very difficult recently.
For the time being, why are there?
Yes, especially to how team maintain or more high intensity for like 75 minutes now. I think we deserve a praise. But any Saka amount for say at Manchester United he was not consistent. No matter how consistent in the then HSA to when you're a perfect environment to bet me I am in your man MKM Stadium. Ewo ho zutu na mini so nya daje hwe game ni bia
na no pe kwa ma
yebo game na announcer no me kwa say Saturday mini zaki to hwe manti o na no pe na me hwe game na announcer na ya announcement say train a free hall echo other cities in England ya cancel you know. It's one of them say a horse supporters don't say you are going home in a Uber. I'm going to tell you, you are going home in a Uber. You are going home in a Uber. I'm going to tell Manchester United supporters so much training call. Or much of mom's Uber and the coffee. 2 years from so free hall from Uber. Adeko. It's time born to second go nearby. You know, they got 2 Manchester supporters in him. So how many man? Yasha 2. Na wo kwa sawa ya se wutuo na mzutuo kwa sawa enyo obi a na hye se etima be mo boda ho se Premier League o mo free match o me boa ho free Premier League match because me say o mo last season in the Premier League before season o mo buy was 2017 2017 ayi ni o 9 years ni o 9 years. Omo last Premier League game before Saturday game no. The Omodi film no. It was against Tottenham Hotspur. Tottenham show almost 7-1. Came back to the Premier League. Then Omasha Manchester United. When you say where your grounds are, the last time a United lose was 1974. Inti ekwa defeat ni fa so bae no be maboda na no den kakra ba nyoma kakra wo game ni mu a ye be sa hwebiem ni aka ho asem okay say Saturday was it Friday and Thursday ye din ko na me ka che say you can pick individual quality players Telemas ya ade Bruno Fernandes ya ade Kunya eya ade Mbuomu eya ade say oh yes assessment na based on their individual quality but a system every players way individually who want some good players no on be turning into bad players. Iti Manchester Efa Santos Manchester Efa Yori Telemas and I'm a catcher will say you cannot combine Telemas and Andrew Santos, not to say so omo nya ade o but ofo omo mienu zoto one who profile omo mienu a ekwa be na fa so build Andrew Santos a second phase defensive midfielder ultimate classified as a typical DM obi o share na strike box bia no zoto obo like a defensive number 8 a deep line playmaker protection and that's how person ball in a defensive double pivoter obetia about Andrew Santos but so with team okobo Andrew Santos just in front of your back four now boy Yori Telemasa Andrew Santos nyo bia obetia ma team a good build up especially from the back ontimi nyesa ade no enti the coming of Baleba one yam so to be solve that issue no and I'm say catch us say Baleba ba no start side in Manchester United a ontimi nka say Yori Telemas Premier League experience eti yemo no on say the identity o eti Baleba ya obey bizoto the perfect partner for Baleba Andrew Santos but won say coach no Telemas who experience yemo no na say Santos no kwa not bench Baleba de based on skill media to nya do de better bench no asa akobo Yori Telemas na asa akofa asama eti the Manchester United teams zoto Saturday no
coach and decisions
yeah I think say Saturday no onya some of his decisions wrong on say auto players na nche be start to mu nyina o park no so na for ebo eno sa na nche no zoto squad depth so a problem the Manchester United
because Baleba be say
no a problem o there is a timer zoto game no 2-0 na United dey substitution what the players too early to make judgment but we game no so din abema boda it needs some changes on how a Manchester United team no more set up same Liverpool bizoto transfer window no be ready by
end of the month and this week
okay my main cousin we if Liverpool enya a defensive midfielder they will be out of the top 4 so enya a defensive midfielder they will be out of the top 4 me who a top team more expose more defense to a more opponent is Liverpool. Gravenberch is not a number 6.
What about number 6? I'm on Magic Premier.
So sometimes you might be lucky. Maybe other teams now no more competing. They might be even in their transition period. Obuwa afe no build the confidence to compete. It ultimately one season no so kwanka say you will not assess your team. Liverpool recently, so when they were competing, playing in Champions League finals, who was their number 6? Yeah, Fabio. What they shot Fabio and I heard Gravenberch. About defensive protection, see they might back for. So what they show me, against Newcastle, that was the problem.
Okay.
So tell me, I say, it Liverpool so there, Kaka, Bema boy, they were Manchester City. Saturday, no, who say amount for year coach in the Paenzo Maresca. But amount for Nyabotre. City team no, the most important area is their midfield. Last season, City season no, say Yafa City in a 3-man midfield. Based on games on my boy, no, na ye Rodri, Bernardo Silva, and Cheki. Rodri ko, Bernardo Silva ko. Reinders are no substitute to them to Oko. Kovacic, the only player betting I rely on him. On a glass difference in him. Your 2 ball bonuses you'll be pra. And you cannot rely on him. It's City their most important area. It's an American than say you can take the 60, 70, 65 million pounds from Barcelona. But how do you replace a player like Rodri? Sikane de what you? But players do send a tias as is to almost say Rodri. Betting replace Omo. Eti at this point he needs to manage. Eti Magayi no Kobon as number 6 no. It's not like City forward. Somebody might talk about Nico Gonzalez. She a bomb of team there no. Okay, the last time Lusu game before no game no. Acho bomb of Lusu game in the Premier League. Acha papa. And Ebia Amafo Bekan Irola, Andoni Irola was the man behind bomb of how Omunye a wonderful season. But in Marco Rose, Mizoto, they have a very good replacement. More beyond the Retino. Last season, Krana bomb of mostly Omuko on the medium block. But with Marco Rose, a lot of their games, they will be pressing the opponent from their half. It's the opponent factor. One, bomb off. Number of players from Molusu, especially in their midfield, the kind of calmness, experience, I'm the Manchester City no. At this stage, Zoto. Coach bia beko akofa bia no obebre me wie e wo Spain na say san komo we di se e ma meka kire say e be do stage bi e be test Mourinho kakra say the first Mourinho at Real Madrid and the second Mourinho ni sense san kakra be ma no kuro mu ni say time Mourinho we in the first 3 years e wo Real Madrid e ka Florentino Perez yan konya ko be na to aso. But how do I sacrifice superstars? Omuna me this sikakoto omuna ye team no just to impress one person. It is a dressing room we accept na and all the man extending the contract. Ye nya na manenko. Sa situation in besa baby. Obi o hwe game no is do Saturday bi ehun say obeso Yusuf Edi Bavadi yeah anya number 6 and so use no. Ontimi mo sa ru. Ebe he in any top game Obebo Fedi Vavade to expose Real Madrid. Any top game Obebo Fedi Vavade be to expose Real Madrid. Tchouameni might not be the best, but currently with the players no one there, say select a proper number 6 for the Real Madrid team. Tchouameni. Untimi mo Fedi Vavade and Bernardo Silva in the midfield against Barcelona. Adan kaji so mo ye. So the by Europa, you cannot play that same midfield against ABA PSG Bayern Munich and then obey. So to the dressing room, Zoto Fedi Valverde currently is the captain of Real Madrid. Game news at a point you need control. That is where Bernardo Silva comes in. Who here proper balancer? You need to play Tchouameni. It's Obeye Day and Abema Boada. Who the Fedi Valverde? Aqua Tena bench. And when you say such players, when you put them on the bench, it comes with a lot of issues. And see, a bedu point, you know. May I sure say Jose, or national analyzing the game now. As I'm making, he will see it. Say Fedi Valverde is not his number 6. When you be on this protection, or no, or your driver, Mr. Two, he will give you drive. He shoot well, but when it comes to say, yeah, control and make from a defensive position, or no, be able to make this idea. The only your money be a you but. It wasn't a bad game from how Real Madrid were quick on their transition, especially Jude Bellingham, Kylian Mbappe, Adagula, Zoto, they were good. When we say Yan Diomandi, so after again, I'm out for the video in Sanjama. Sanot here. Omunya would say, Usa. What's a month for the video? Almost will say, we in a year, 145.
Who know where then?
Almost all Quano assign. Almost all Quano assign. I'm so Omunya would say. On say, Usa, Zoto. And he needs confidence. Okay. So tell me, say, he have consistency to his game. And only one area, Mzoto, any problem, even when he was in Germany. How consistent, or maybe 5 games at Twaso, you will not see that. But in a good hands, you say Mourinho, Mzoto, you will say Wafa players are waiting me about doing until Mama Munesano, or Munyabutre, and Famomo. Barcelona is winning by 5-0 against Elche. Mzoto, and building a team. And using superstars to win. And no, any the difference between clubs like Barcelona, PSG, they might have superstars, but they have their way of winning. So tell me, say it's a better how Abema Boda. Okay. Season that started very well. I started very well.
5 minutes.
So this weekend leagues ne started. na nkomo nyina okay moto Premier League started Italian Serie A started Bundesliga money adia. We are talking about the guys, the big guys joining the party. Now to yebetimi Abuja ni diagum. Now before the Premier League started, Metna can say me say this season's Premier League will be extremely unpredictable because of stages now most of the top clubs no a woman no. For instance, yeba England me to top 6, that is the narrative the EPO no obu pushy, and top 6 ne Manchester City, Manchester United, Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal, and a Hotspurs. We win the top 6, you know. And these are the giants.
Top 6 for last season,
no, for the Premier League.
Okay.
And I'm saying based on the new order. Aston
So
Villa.
the 17 million.
Oh no, but Aston Villa, almost 17 million to Europa League. So you still have to factor that into the conversation. So they've not really lost their status as one of the big giants, though. Villa is still pushing because initially Aston Villa, Everton, and I'm fading out. I'm a City more and Spurs my barbership. Now me to these big 6 teams in the Premier League, obia enya some form of hit, with the exception of Arsenal, and you're my best static and constant momo. All the other teams are undergoing a different stage when it comes to the development of these clubs. For instance, so we check Manchester City. But they've gone in for Enzo Maresca. And this Manchester City team was built around Pep Guardiola with one psychological edge over most teams, which was the fear factor of Manchester City. And the fear factor, not fakesiene Pep Guardiola, so when you are going to play against Manchester City. Now City lose Pep Guardiola. And so fear factor, no. So I share City pre-season. Community shield now. You can sit back and analyze Manchester to say now teams are not scared of Manchester City like previously. Teams will take the game to Manchester City because some fear factor not drop it. But to me, just what to prove we say and Kenyan ability to bite and spit out poisonous venom come out for the group. But so dear grow cow. And that is Manchester City under Pep Guardiola. Even when the team was not so good.
First time meeting no. Was it a work and
yen so utimi car. Pierre de Bayer Homa.
Matu wo baby Matu wo work and bre. Matu cho wuti anaka ahoma. Matu ba wo the first time I met you.
And yes, utimi car. Pierre de Bayer Homa. So utimi combine. So to me can't I'm not being na ni adwane on fa nko chiche nya
ho so za ko mne be ya ho
me ho man be chichire na ni o makro abuso obi ko afubo no waso wo no na chiche o me to beti aseche o do pa abosim se se beba agency for be but now come on nyina na say that is fear factor. Even when wo obi wo kra won timi nkampo no enam se enim se wo kenti no hu na obepe oba bia afa Manchester City sana net here when you're going to play against them, knowing the ability to dismantle teams, which you who in the past, or my ye be pain. Almost was one wakika pain. Into the one some daho. Manchester City to meet you obisan 5. No in your possession around 65%. It's naturally they impose this kind of fear onto any team before you even set on the field to play against them. Now, when you watch Manchester City, I can confidently tell you, say, lose some fear factor and some degree of Manchester City fear factor is gone with Pep Guardiola. So they are not just undergoing transition under Enzo Maresca, but they've also lost that psychological edge, which will give teams the ability to take the game to Manchester City. Until when you sit here, you ever start this season confidently because say they are ahead of anybody. Because losing Bernardo Silva, losing Rodri in the middle, City experiencer, no multiple calm the nerves of the young guys. In difficult moment, Emma City die hard, you know, and this will be called. So, which kind of Manchester City are we going to witness? And that is what happened in their game against Bournemouth over the weekend. And that is one key element of Manchester City. Emma Meka say, you just cannot predict what they will be doing. Now, Mr. Otuo, City were fortunate enough, based on the brilliance of Abrantia, your friend Ryan Cherky. Born in my share Ryan Cherky. Impact from the bench. Mr. Tuo, look at this ball. The decision around Ryan Cherky leading to the assist Orema Josko Vadio. This is a one player and was a pretty game, you know, because it was a game that it was heading towards a draw. Now, any moment a team go by default they are going to sit back and play in a low block. You will need intelligent players, almost scanning ability near so special to know where to place the ball, when to even play the ball. So Osha went checking the ball neighbor on his favorite left footer. At this point, two players are closely Abrante and Haaland. Now, so bet me about pass initially first one after I two nail close on. Asama for defenders was going to be a problem. So when to even play the ball is a key element. Odeba on the left, everybody was expecting say check ball pass. Then he sustained the ball, takes the defenders back, and leave them hanging on that side to create space. Also, the guy in 11 check his movement. And I'm so suspecting say check ball on the first, or move closer, and the creative space man just go vadio. This weekend, Cherky saved Manchester City. And it points back to the American beginning. Say, we are not going to see a flamboyant Manchester City team. We are not going to see an all-scoring Manchester City team. And that is one key element from the game. Maresca has a lot of things to do too. Getting the selection right is going to be a new conversation. But champions that had City for finding their way through. Liverpool now 2-2 draw. Newcastle. Obi out here Saturday bianu say we predicted a difficult game for Liverpool. Say it was either going to be a win or a draw for them. They were not just going to get it easy, and even if it was going to be a winner, it was going to be a slim margin win. Liverpool so undergo transition, just like Manchester City. Losing a player like Mohamed Salah, for the past 9 years, Liverpool season be Asia. See, more than 15 goals in the league above Mohamed Salah. You can't play within a split second. Obetimia create something in terms of scoring. Eddie Ama team above Mohamed Salah dino. Ome lusu saadiano. You to Liverpool nim hono. E jana no mo de bono ebe drop it. Then they're going for a new manager in Areola. Onoso aba foforo. I feel onoso ba be send nyoma to say Enzo Maresca. And to on that paper, Liverpool is not going to be explosive. A very gradual process. Then we'll talk about Manchester United. Me top form here, man, for United and Bement. Musa man for business. Oh, now so beru de oje carry kidipa. And what I was saying is that I feel United will press the panic button with Carrick, because I'm so to yim count. When a new coach comes in on interim basis, the sort of energy you team say obobi bia wie na adwuma no be permanent, not settle, no any preseason we are majority of them emphasize energy now to us. That is what and why I predicted say I don't see United making the top 4, because I see that Umbe started slow, the criticisms will start flying in, the panic button will be pressed, and United will undergo a new restructure. Losing to Hull City, even though him say and your man easy Carrick, because now things are settled and you need to dig deep to come up with a new form of motivation. But I did not expect them to lose to Hull City. Carrick will need to go and work on the set pieces of his team, how they defend set pieces. Their defensive unit was exposed over the weekend once again, and it paid off badly for them. Good start for Hull City, but Carrick and United need to bounce back. I say constant figure. League top 6 in this season, Arsenal. And we to results in the point 3-0. Arsenal for me too. They mean business, and people should watch out for them. They have everything intact. They did not lose any of their key players, and they even made the necessary additions to strengthen their squad. And a Premier League, just a winning, a hard-fought victory. Now, we can of course you better just say come up. But that I'm going to talk about that I'm hoping they will fix it moving forward. Born a mommy, any of the graphics, the first goal Madrid conceded or the goal Madrid scored, if you're the better to Subia, Sanyo Mani Mudnam, so to Messi do come on. Jose Mourinho is a coach because of the pressure on the final. The team Bobo Krana players be shy and come as them. Nipe can ask them you Jose. Our advantage with disadvantage because team new union or Jabba somebody pa. The same thing said team lose so I'm so Tony Babu Chipa. Now I want you to look at the screen and go Espanol say. So your penalty box no. You count 8 Real Madrid players out the center of action. Espanol players 3. And I want the center of action. Madrid, you know, so 8. But look at the space of the goal scorer. This is a tactical issue. Defensive failure on the Real Madrid team. And then Monday, we can cost you best expand the power. But so too, if Madrid want to come back and win the Spanish La Liga, they cannot allow middle place teams like Espanyol. The gap between quality between Madrid and the Espanyol on the sono to be having this sort of space and chance in their penalty box. But when they make a picture, you come to the video during the week. No, too. When you play against Bayern Munich, now judge at these spaces, they will finish you. If you play against PSG, now 8 players or penalty box. Now, Mr. Two, a goal scorer in this space, a control ball, the ball on the 2-3, they will concede lot of goals. So, Mr. Two, from where I sit, Federico Valverde, based on game now Madrid ball no, on Saturday, no, and his role as a defensive midfielder, what is expected of him, screening and protecting the defense. No, this ball, Federico Valverde should have stopped this. Into moving forward, Madrid cannot have about 8 players in the penalty box and be allowing this number of space for individual players. No, to have there, they are 23 no. Also be a marking no. Espanyol players 4 in the box, but Madrid players, the positioning in this defensive shape was wrong. First one, born a man Madrid go no to 90th minute Real Madrid they go. Espanyol attack obo low block. Madrid go new graphics no. Now I'm to check something. Check the position of the Madrid players. It comes back to my more defensive position. Then look at attacking position. We're 98 plus 50 seconds. Madrid is looking for a goal. Espanyol was close to 8 players in the penalty box. Madrid now all pay goal no, but or just 2 players and all penalty box. You say if you want to supply, you can score. And these 2 players are making it includes the ball carrier in Kylian Mbappe and Carlos SP. It's the penalty box. You know, Madrid pay goal and 1 player in the gym. You first had the goal at the 98 50 seconds. Into your throw ability, check the position of Vinicius and Marco Correa. Where there is no action, their chances of scoring are equivalent to 0. This is wrong. This is positional issue. Because open goal, 90th minute. Opponent in the players, Makumaku 8 and all penalty box room, covering key play areas. Now the player, Baku Penny Jinamo. And Moto, say any moment of luck kakra a shiny and in terms of players in the box, this ball shouldn't have ended in the net. We ball 1-1 now. You should push almost all your players into the penalty box, especially when the opponent is low block. And Moto, some shares are the NSC. Ejuma that's so Omar Jose. He won.
So that finished starting.
But Ejuma because Moto Sabo we know. Ukosia teams with top defenders now say who players are not in the penalty box to create division and be available to finish you struggle to score. Maybe I finish.
Thank you.
Also have you Marco Correa jina, have you Diamond jina, maybe a Carlos Espina. He was just lucky. The signing of that boy from Lamente is going to do Madrid a lot of good. So the goal they scored had positional issues. And the goal they conceded had positional issues, and I think say Ejuma Homa Jose good start there, Mami Soto. They still have a little bit to work on. Barca social 5.
Without Rodri.
Yes, without Rodri and without.
I'm just going to fund your sign. I'm sure.
Oh yeah, Mami Soto. They are dead. They are deadly. The Barca team is deadly.
Okay.
And the sign of answer there will be something into the Anthony Gordon here. They mean them. And I'm a catcher. Say they are looking at other players to contribute to the goal scoring, even when they don't get a center forward. Are they miss a goal? Okay. Anthony Gordon had 2 assists.
All right.
Good.
Thank you.
So far, so too.
You're gonna